So I know the first time that I watched the short film, I thought it was amazing, but I also wanted to know more about these characters, so I'm glad that you kind of left that open for that possibility to expand the story. So did you always want to make So Torn into a feature?
Yeah, it's super interesting. So the short film is based on actually my college admission project, or sorry, the feature is based on a short that was my college admissions film. And at the time, the short, we were just trying to make something to get into school. And as you know, every film school has like a different application, and I wanted to make something that could kind of cross all those boxes. And so my dad and I, we worked together. His name is Fred. We're the two Freds, and we co-write. He produces, I direct. We started brainstorming a premise of something that could check those boxes, and ultimately I knew that AFI was my number one, and their prompt was to tell a story about a change of heart. And so we're like, what can we do here? And we love the work of the Coen brothers, and specifically No Country for Old Men, and the premise of coming upon a drug deal gone bad. Mm-hmm. And we were trying to think of a way that we kind of spin that idea on its head and put a character that is unlikely in that world in that position. And we immediately thought of a seamstress, and that was like, oh my God, that's cool. And once we thought of the seamstress, we were like thinking of all the juxtapositions with the thread and the blood and the guns. So we made the short film, on one day for very little money, and sent it out to colleges. And I was just hoping that I'd get in somewhere. And long story short, it just got sent around, friends of friends of friends, and it got in the hands of Joel Coen, mm-hmm. who was my hero. And the whole film was kind of oriented around No Country for Old Men, and he wanted to meet for coffee, and I was terrified because I was like, he's gonna want to sue us, because we stole that idea. But it was great meeting with him because he really liked the film. And he said, you should turn this into a feature and do it the blood simple method, like raise money through friends and family so you can maintain creative control and just shoot this thing. So long story short, I'm sorry for the long monologue, but that's when we knew, okay, we should turn this into a feature. And we definitely weren't thinking about it when we made the short. And it was like many, many drafts, like over 40 drafts until we got to the final product, but it was a long journey.
So what was your preparation like for this character and her deep history?
Yeah, well, Freddy, before we started filming, he was great about talking to me about Barbara's backstory and giving me input in everything from costume to hair, and we talked a lot about her relationship with her mother, and I think really nailing what that relationship was helped create the emotional drive for Barbara in the film. So I think that was kind of the main thing. And then from a technical standpoint, Freddy created these videos because obviously Barbara has to do a lot of intricate maneuvers with the thread, and he created a video of everything that I was going to have to do in the film, him and his dad Fred, and they sent me those videos and were like, this is what you're going to have to be doing. So I was just around my house practicing, making these little darts, and I also couldn't sew at all, so I was just practicing sewing on a button for ages. And yeah, and then when I arrived, thank God I can drive anyway, but when I arrived, they took, on the first day, I went through learning how to drive the car, and that was interesting because it's quite a temperamental car, but that was kind of the main physical preparation, yeah.
So as an actor in the original short, what was it like working with the team again and returning to tell the full story?
Oh, that was a fantastic choice. I was so happy to do that because I really do remember when I was lying on the ground, we're doing the short, and obviously both of us got killed in the short. I was like, oh, how would this story continue if there would be a continuation of it? And now with having these three options in the feature film, it is really coming to play out that there's three different choices. And that was especially really nice to do that and to see three different versions of how it might turn out. Yeah.
This is your second time working with Freddy. What was it like developing your character with him for a feature-length film?
Well, it was really interesting because when we were getting ready to shoot the scene where I take the gun out and can't get it out, I was like, well, why can't you get I don't understand. And he said, it's the first time she's ever used your gun. And then it was like, that just told me everything about, you know, a really good director can just tell you one thing and then it just lights your head up and then you know what all the rest of it is about.
Right.
And I had already worked with Freddy on his thesis film for AFI that was called Shedding Angels, for which he ultimately won a Student Academy Award. And so that's where we met. And then I also have done something since then. He's done a little short 2-minute film called Mother Me that I was a voiceover in. So
That's amazing.
I now feel like Freddy is my son, my grandson, I guess it would be.
The production design for this film was absolutely incredible. So what was it like creating these intricate scenes with the thread and the stories that they tell?
Thank you so much. I appreciate. Well, it was really fun, like the pre-production process for me to work with Freddy and Sebastian really closely. We went up there to this little town a few times and could actually choose from different locations, abandoned flats and houses that we liked the best. And then I really had a lot of freedom to do what I felt was right for the different scenes and rooms. And so it went back and forth. I was doing collages, finding stuff around in the place where we shot, what furniture or materials could work in these rooms. And then for the thread things, it was all like their work, Fred and Freddy, and I just had to kind of bring up, like the right bed, so we could put up those big spools to pull up Thomas when he was tied to this chair, and had the right chair when he was falling down the stairs. Yeah, like that, and. Other than that, I was really free to,
Did you have any inspiration behind the hair and makeup choices that you went with?
Usually I just read the script and then I have pictures in my mind and figuring out how I think the characters will look like. And then I talk to Freddy, and also very important to costume and production design to make everything fit together. But it was very easy because Freddy and I had the same vision of how the characters should look like, especially with Eve. He was just like, do whatever you want, just make it very natural. And I really wanted to make her especially look very natural and put out the natural beauty she already has.
You obviously had a lot of different roles in this film. How was the burning house scene accomplished? Was it a mix of practical and then also virtual effects?
Yeah, from the beginning we wanted to make as much as possible in camera, practically. So we put a lot of time and effort into staging a real explosion in an old building in Switzerland, which was hard because it was an old part of the town and there were buses crossing, so it like a logistical nightmare. But we wanted to do it for real, and then because my gaffer created like beautiful lighting in there after the explosion, it was really easy for me to enhance that in visual effects and put flames on it. And there were a couple of real flames on the floor, which I guess helped Eve in her role lying there. But it was really a mixture of both, and I don't think either way would have worked, like only practical or only visual effects. So I guess the combination made it work in the end.
Though I heard that you've had experience shooting in Switzerland before, so can you tell me more about that and how your experience helped you with this project?
Of course. So we're a Switzerland-based production company. We're in central Switzerland in Lucerne. And our first feature, so that was, the film before Saltorn, was called Color of Heaven, and it was a Spanish story that we shot entirely in Switzerland. So it's very similar to a degree that, it's a foreign project that opted to shoot in Switzerland with international cast, with international crew. And so in that regard, it was very similar, and it gave us a lot of knowledge, or we learned a lot of things, how to work with international crew, how to work with international projects in Switzerland, how to facilitate that, what it needs, what it doesn't need. And so that was our first key or bigger experience with feature films. And after that, we started moving into many service productions, which means companies, that's brands or also feature film series that wish to shoot in Switzerland need a local partner, that we partner up with them and kind of facilitate the shoot for them in Switzerland.
So what were some of your inspirations behind lighting these intricate scenes?
Oof. That's hard. I think
didn't have inspirations. It was more like the natural look.
What was it about So Torn that made you want to be a part of this project?
So I would say reading the script, it was just really innovative from a craft perspective. It was such a unique world. I was just blown away reading the script, and so that was like kind of a big thing for me. Another big thing was kind of our friendship with Freddy over the years.
So we met Freddy at the Heartland International Film Festival back in 2017, and it was there that, you know, we saw his very first short film. We had our first short film at that festival, so we were able to kind of form a friendship, and we really loved his work. We would send each other work over the years, and then it was a few years later that, you know, he and his dad had crafted this script, the So Torn feature, and we were super excited to be involved, and
We just wanted to be a part of it.
yeah, loved the short and wanted to tell everyone we knew about it, and here we are, I guess. So
Like you said, like how she never used the gun. I feel like your character represents a lot about this small town that they're in and how much chaos has been brought in. So what did you find to be the most challenging part about building this character?
Well, learning the lines. I had this giant soliloquy, and when I'm interviewing Callan, and it was this long, and I learned it, and it was so hard. And then they cut it, and it wasn't as big, but that was really hard, but because it had so much backstory in it and so on.
If you could choose what path Barbara takes, which one would you choose?
It's so funny. People have asked me that, and it's the first time I got asked that, I kind of rambled through an answer that made no sense, and then was like, I don't know, because it is really hard to decide. I think my instinct would be to call the police. That's normally what I would do, but knowing how it turns out, I'm leaning towards just driving away. I think that feels right, but probably I would call the police. It's me.
What initially drew you to the project way back with the short?
Those were the days, like a couple of years ago, when I met Freddy. Now I got invited to do one of his short films, which was actually fantastic. And so we kept that relationship, and he invited me to be part of So Torn, the short, which I was really happy for. And that was actually his application film for AFI.
So it's been a long journey with this film, and how have you seen this project change over time? You said there was 40 drafts, so.
Yeah, so it was a long, as it always tends to be, I guess. But throughout AFI, I started writing it with my dad, and it was getting critiqued there. And initially, it was a completely linear version of the short film. So it started, the short was still the inciting incident, and then it kind of continued from there. But like I said, we did like 22 drafts of that, and on the 22nd draft, we got the same notes that we got on the first draft. And my dad and I were like, what? This is just not working. It felt like a continued version of the short, not a feature. And so we were like, we got to throw this out and start completely clean. But once we did that, we really tried to think about what the core of the short film was about. And that's when we went back to the AFI prompt in the first place, which is that this is about a change of heart and about choices. And, you know, the seamstress is just driven through this crime scene, and she really only has 3 choices that she could make, you know, to commit the perfect crime, to call the police, or to drive away. And so once we realized, oh, what if we show the repercussions of each of these choices, then the narrative just kind of wrote itself, and we were really excited about that.
So what was your favorite scene to design?
I think it was the first storyline in her apartment, in her bedroom, the blue color palette. I think I was most into that.
What was it like preparing the looks for each character?
Actually, it was very improvised, everything. Especially Callan's look was a hard challenge for me personally, because I planned out having prosthetics and everything, and then there was a last minute change really the night before, and in the morning I had to improvise the whole look, and then I was on set and I was like, oh damn, now I have to do that every day from scratch. So that was kind of hard, but it was also fun because Freddy gave me that freedom to be creative, and he wasn't questioning anything I did, so I really could do and be creative and improvise a lot.
Was the original, I'm not sure, but was the original short filmed in Switzerland? And if so, or like if not, how did y'all decide to film there?
Yeah, we shot the original short film already in Switzerland in the exact same location, which is a valley in the eastern part of Switzerland. And Freddy is half Swiss, the director, and that's why he thinks the Swiss landscape is very original and fresh to an American audience. And he wanted to shoot there. And that made me really happy because I knew that part very well. I grew up in the region. And it just felt right to go back to that place where we shot the short film because it breathes the same spirit, and we could make this world bigger there. And we found all the locations we needed in the vicinity, and we just shot it in that same valley.
What was your collaboration like with Sebastian to achieve this look for the film?
I think we talked a lot about it. We had also some boards, like with the looks we wanted to achieve.
So do you have any advice for UT Austin film students?
Yeah, I love short films. Like even now, we just shot another short film recently, a 2-minute short, because it's just so fun to kind of really master that short. I mean, you can never master it. It's just, there's always like something going wrong with it, but it's really cool to explore tone and writing in a short form project. So my number one advice is just to keep making shorts, because you never know, who's going to see it, and you're never going to know that you're going to eventually maybe turn that premise into a feature one day. Because if we hadn't done that short and not been afraid to kind of blast it out there, none of this would have happened. So.
Acting, I went to drama school and then also just reached out to agents, and if you're starting out, like smaller agents, and just inviting them to your showcase if you're in drama school, or sending self-tapes even to them. That's kind of my main, and then what Freddy said about shorts seems like a good option. I know a lot of people have said that to me in the film industry, that they started with shorts. I know a lot of people that have, and then they've gotten the awards circuit with that, and it's really helped them, so probably that.
I think the most important thing is to do stuff, whatever it is. And I come from a different background in Europe, and the advice we are given there is to do theatre for the most of the time, because that's where you really learn the craft of acting, creating characters, because you really have the long time of rehearsing a play for like 6 to 7, 8 weeks, and then play the shows and try things out there. And that's a much broader, wider space than it is in film, because you really have to be on the spot when you come to the set. And hang yourself out, do whatever it is possible.
Perfect.
There's this beautiful Hamlet saying, if I do get it together, it's like, if it is not now, it will come. If it will not come, it will be now. The readiness is all.
I absolutely do. I've written a whole bunch of books for actors, writers, and directors about how to get work in the business. And 3 of them, are about getting agents and so forth. But my best book, I think, is called How to Sell Yourself as an Actor, which tells you kind of how to exist in the business and not kill yourself, because it's so hard, and I just can't say hard. And I also think, the worst background you had, a really shitty childhood, helps immensely. So there's a word of hope for everyone.
Maybe start small, try to, be free, and explore what there is to do. Something like that.
Just be creative, try out things, and find your way, and just play with blood.
If you're interested in cinematography, it's cool to try out things, experiment with light, because that's a really big part of cinematography, obviously. And the other thing is to get to know directors who have a script or who wanted to tell a story, and just pair up with them and shoot something, and really learn about lighting and shoot stuff, I guess.
I would say don't just make films in your classes. If you want to write and direct films, do things like, it's great to do coursework and all of that good stuff, and that's great. But also supplementing that with passion projects outside of that can be a great way to learn and hone your craft and develop your skills.
That's great.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. I would say actually work at the craft of filmmaking. So make a bunch of films outside of your coursework, like he said, And I would also pair up with very talented individuals, because it takes a team to make it happen. So learning how to work with the team and finding the best people to come together and make something, and that's what's going to get you the best product and bring your vision to life. So that's what I'd say.